I wish also to cover quickly some areas here in Australia where abandoning the rule of law and crushing of dissent also occurs. People would have seen in the media just recently the saga of Andrew Thorburn and Essendon, and I just want to very quickly cover the legality and principle issues with this. Most people will know the story. Thorburn was forced to resign very quickly, within 2 days, and in his own words, it became clear to him that his personal Christian faith was not tolerated or permitted in the public square, at least by some, perhaps many. Now, this wasn't on the basis of his personal words or actions. It was because of an association with an Anglican church. Now, some media reports are saying that the church had controversial views. Well, the majority of mainstream churches, and I would argue many mosques and other temples, actually are pro-life. They believe we should protect the unborn, and they believe in the traditional view of marriage and concepts of gender. That is actually quite mainstream around the world, and here in Australia it was perfectly legal to hold those views. In fact, under law, it's still legal to hold those views. And yet the Premier of Victoria said, and I quote, "Those views are appalling. I don't support those views. That kind of intolerance, that kind of hatred, bigotry, it's just wrong." End quote. So were Essendon's actions legal? Well, Australia is a signatory to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which comes from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it makes it unlawful to discriminate against people on a range of clauses. And legal experts have highlighted that it's not only unlawful to discriminate against a person because of their religious belief under the Victorian Equal Opportunity Act of 2010, but also because of their personal association with, for example, the Church under Section 6 of the Act. It's actually not a defence to say that Mr Thorburn agreed to step down. An ultimatum from the club to do so would amount to a constructive dismissal, and a person cannot consent to discrimination against them. And so there are, even in our law, legal barriers to what Essendon and other groups who have a similar view take. And that's because Australia has signed up to international obligations such as the ICCPR. In Article 2, we undertake to respect and to assure to all individuals the rights of the country without distinction, such as race, colour, etc., including religion. Article 18, everyone shall have the freedom of thought, conscience and religion. This includes the freedom to have or adopt a religion or belief of their choice, individually or in community. Article 19, everyone shall have the right to hold opinions without interference. Article 22, everyone shall have the right to the freedom of association with others. And Article 27, which perhaps is relevant after the last census, in those states in which ethnic, religious or linguistic minorities exist, which you could now classify the Christian Church as, members shall not be denied the right in community of the other members to enjoy their own culture, profess or practice their own religion. So the principle, why should we care? We should care because it's the basis of an open, plural society for these freedoms to exist. And in fact, Justices Mason and Brennan of the Australian High Court said that religious freedom is actually the paradigm freedom, the essence of a free society. And it's important also to recognise that the things we value in our open and plural society, such as these freedoms, actually have their roots in Christianity, in the Church. The American philosopher Larry Seidenhoff presents very cogent arguments, and he's one of many who identifies that the roots of liberalism, the belief in individual freedom, actually was pioneered by the Christian thinkers of the Middle Ages. It was the philosophers and canon lawyers from the Church, not the Renaissance humanists, who laid the foundation for liberal democracy in the West, and we should continue to value that if we want an open and free society.
Thank you, Senator Fawcett.